Welcome into One-on-One on Suddenlink Channel 112, live from Studio 318. I'm Reed Spencer, joined by my co-host, as always, Logan Mosier. A lot going on in the sports world. The Cowboys get a walk-off win over the Sooners last night, 6-5 in the bottom of the ninth. They beat the Sooners for the last time ever in LAP, so that was a great way to send the Sooners back down south with an L and getting that win for the last time in LAP. Obviously, next time they face the Sooners in Stillwater, it will be in the newly built O'Brate Stadium. But a good win for the Cowboys. Always want a Bedlam victory. I told Chris last night, you want a Bedlam victory in checkers, chess, and everything else. You always want to beat OU. So a great win for the Cowboys last night. But we'll start in the NBA, then transition to some NFL, and then some more retirement news in the world of sports. We will start with Jusuf Nurkic that broke his leg, unfortunately. Suffered a gruesome season-ending leg injury.
Yeah.
Was it Sunday night? Or Monday night, I believe,
night.
that he suffered the injury. I hope Levi really didn't put the injury in.
It's not in there.
Okay.
No.
It was awful. What's bad about this is obviously the injury itself.
Yeah.
I'm not a Trailblazers fan, but they're not as good, I think, without him.
Right.
They haven't had a ton of success in the playoffs to begin with historically, but he's having a career year.
Yeah.
He's averaging, 15 points a game, the best. He's averaging the most, 10.4 rebounds a game. That's the best that he's done in his career, and he played in all 72 games up to this point. He struggled with injuries before in Denver a couple times. What does this mean for the West? And then we can kind of transition to what it means for Jusuf Nurkic personally.
Yeah. As far as what it means in the West, it means Portland is, I don't want to say going to lose in the first round, but they're definitely not.
It's a real possibility without the injury.
That's very true. So there's not a lot of, like you said, a lot of success we can look back on and be like, you know what, these guys can win no matter what. They got swept last year, Reed, by the Pelicans.
Yes.
So they don't have a strong standing anyway. Right now, their first round matchup, I believe, would be the Thunder, or no, it would be the Jazz. They would face the Jazz.
It switched last night
Yeah.
alone. It's kind of flip flopping because of the standings right now. But if they were going into the playoffs today, you're right, it would be the Jazz, and I don't feel
That's
comfortable.
not a good matchup.
No, Rudy Gobert also. Side note, set the record for dunks in a single
Right.
season, and we have 10 games left to go. So that's impressive.
And Steph Curry's on track to, I think, shoot over 1,000 threes this season, which no one's even come close to. But, yeah, I don't know what this means for if it's going to be just an easier path for the Warriors at this point. But the Jazz would probably beat the Nuggets, the Trailblazers in the first round, if that would be the matchup. Honestly, I think any of these lower seeds, the Clippers, the Jazz, the Thunder, and the Spurs, without Nurkic, I don't know if Portland can win a first-round series.
Well, it's unfortunate that he suffers that injury, and I think it almost has to be talked about. I don't think it was intentional, but the ref tripping over his broken leg, I don't think the ref intentionally did that.
No.
But that was such an awkward moment that happened.
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone likes, people breaking bones. That one was especially hard to watch. Thankfully, he had the sleeve on his leg. It might have been, visibly worse if he had not had that on.
Yeah.
But what does this mean for him? Because he is having a career year. He's expected to make, a full recovery. But you look at Gordon Hayward. Paul George, it took him a little while to get back in the swing of things. He's having a great year now. Gordon Hayward, I don't know, has found the way he was playing. I don't know that he's reached that potential yet.
Yeah.
And now you have Jusuf Nurkic, who's had this career year, and now it's broken. What does that mean for him personally? Can he kind of rely on guys that have been through this before?
I think so. The fact that I think it was just a bone, it was like a compound fracture, I believe, right? So there's no ligament damage. That's good. You hope he can come back like a Paul George did. But like you said, it took Paul George about 2 full years after that injury for him to get back to what he is right now. I think Gordon Hayward next year we're going to see a different Gordon Hayward, closer to what we saw before the injury. It's probably going to be not a 2-year deal before he can be back on the court, but 2 years before he's himself. So it's a big setback. It's going to affect him next year. I don't know if he'll be back. He'll probably be back for the start of next season, but I don't think we'll see the same guy.
Ultimately, the mental aspect of coming back from these injuries is sometimes worse than the physical aspect because these guys are elite athletes anyways. They can handle the physical, the recovery, the physical therapy. They can get back on the court, but it's the jumping like that. And because how many times has Nurkic jumped like that? Has he had to play like that? How many times did he do it in that game alone?
Yeah.
And has never had that injury in his life. All of a sudden he steps on the court, goes through this play, and that happens. That's devastating. It's devastating for Nurkic. It's devastating for the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a real favorite to win the Western Conference anyways, although they are sitting there at the 3 seed. Not far off. Obviously not super close, but not far off from the 1 seed. It would take a lot, but, I mean, with 10 games remaining, I think you can kind of just write off the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah.
Because of this injury.
And C.J. McCollum's also, he's going to be back before the playoffs, I believe, but he's injured. He's banged up. So, you're basically just left with Damian Lillard at full strength, and you'll get some of C.J. McCollum. I think since C.J. McCollum had gone out, the Blazers' second leading scorer has been Seth Curry, not Steph Curry, not the guy that's won 2 MVPs, his brother, who has kind of been a journeyman up to this point. So Terry Stotts has a very interesting challenge up ahead to figure out how they can, replace Nurkic. They signed Enes Kanter off waivers, so does he get the starting spot now? Do you go to Zach Collins, a guy you've used all year? It's going to be interesting, but I think you're right. You can pretty much write them out of the playoffs at this point.
I would be more comfortable with Zach Collins than I would Enes Kanter. No disrespect to Kanter.
Well, Kanter couldn't guard.
Yeah, he can't.
You or I,
he can't play defense,
no,
and he's not great offensively either.
Not as good as he used to be.
So I mean, Zach Collins is young, obviously the guy out of Gonzaga, but he's a monster. He's going to find his way. Listen, you can't fill in for Nurkic. They're not going to be able to replicate that performance, those numbers. But I think your best chance is Zach Collins. But obviously, we'll just have to see where they go. Hope for a speedy recovery for Nurkic. But I think you're right. It's going to take a long, long time, probably a couple years, if he ever does get back to where he was. This is an interesting topic now because we're in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Thunder fans around. They are 6-11 since the All-Star break. They are not a good basketball team right now. They went from how many weeks ago where they were 2 in the West. Now they were 8th. Now they're 7th after last night, the Spurs loss. They're making the playoffs because unless the Kings win out and the Thunder lose out, they're making the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they haven't clinched a spot yet.
Right.
What's wrong with the Oklahoma City Thunder? And that could be a laundry list of things, but let's go with the top few points that you think are wrong with the Thunder.
Well, I think after the All-Star break, Paul George was injured for quite a while. Russell Westbrook started to play a lot better, but Paul George wasn't out there. He was missing with a right shoulder injury, and then I believe he had a left shoulder injury. Steven Adams looked a little banged up for a while. He wasn't playing as well as he had before the All-Star break. Normally it's the opposite. You go to the All-Star break and you get rested up and you get more healthy, not less healthy, but the Thunder seem to have a little bit of an injury issue after the All-Star break. I think that's the number one deal. And secondly, their defense has fallen off so much, and that could be because Paul George wasn't out there for those games. He's kind of the anchor for them on that side of the ball. So I think the overall team defense and the injuries are what led to this awful slide.
Well, I mean, you have 8 or 9 games remaining. Do they finish in this 7th or 8th spot? Do you think there's a chance they actually fall out of the playoffs? I don't think
they fall out of the playoffs, but it's possible they're not a home court team. How many are they behind the Rockets? They're 3.5 games behind the Rockets, but they're playing really well as of late. The Clippers have blown away. I think they could pass the Clippers, maybe the Jazz. So I think at best they're a 5 seed, but I certainly don't think they'll fall out of the playoffs.
Well, the crazy thing, Logan, is we could come back from, depending on what happens in the NBA, we could come back for next Monday's show and they could be the 4 seed, 3 or 4 seed. That's what's ridiculous about the West Coast or the Western Coast Conference is, I mean, it's just ridiculous how close they are. So the Western Conference is just, it's different than the East. If the Thunder were in the East, this would be a totally different story. But they are in the West. But everyone was so confident that they were going to change that, going into the All-Star break, everyone was healthy. Then as the Thunder do, a tradition like any other, somebody gets hurt. It's not ending injury, but Paul George is back in the lineup now. He seems to be a little bit healthier. But this 6-11 slide since the All-Star break, their worst nightmare could come true. They could get Golden State in the first round. But what's interesting enough is that a nightmare for Golden State because you've seen the potential that the Thunder can have.
Yeah.
They would love nothing more than to beat the Golden State Warriors. If they get that 1-8 matchup, would there be enough for them to knock off the Golden State Warriors?
I don't think so. I think that's Golden State's worst scenario for a first-round matchup, because I wouldn't say the Thunder are built to stop them, but what the Thunder are great at is scoring off turnovers, and Golden State, as great as they've been on offense for however many years, they've always had a problem turning the ball over. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma City, the Thunder, they've been great defensively for most of the season. Like I said, that's kind of slipped lately, but if they can keep it up and, force Golden State to make mistakes, I think they're the best equipped to beat them in the first round, or even maybe at all. Maybe Houston might still be the quote-unquote best team to take them out, but I think Oklahoma State's I said it again, Reed. What am I doing?
They're from the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
It works.
The Thunder are a nightmare first-round matchup for the Warriors.
Well, I almost think it would be it's going to be hard to beat the Warriors or the Nuggets, but they've had more success.
I think the Nuggets are easier to beat than...
Well, they've had more success with the Warriors. Not a lot of success with
Yeah.
either team, but the Nuggets have beat them, 7 straight?
Yeah, but not in a playoff, and not in a series. You know what I mean?
You don't think that mentally factors into it, though?
I don't think. They're all so young. The Paul Millsap has the most experience on that Nuggets team in the playoffs. And when a guy like Steve Kerr gets a chance to look at your team, knowing he's going to play you up to 7 times, he doesn't want to play you 7 times, and most of the time he won't have to. But if he has a chance to look at what your team does and he can pick you apart, I don't know if this Nuggets team, I don't know if Mike Malone is a good enough coach yet. I don't know if Jokic is mentally tough enough yet. Jamal Murray, I don't know how he's going to perform in the playoffs. I know how Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, and Steve Kerr, and Andre Iguodala, I know how those guys are in the playoffs. They're awesome. I just think the Nuggets are a little too young.
But what about to beat the Thunder?
I still don't know. They have a better chance against the Thunder, obviously, than the Warriors. But I think matching up with the Spurs would also be just a complete nightmare for the Nuggets. I think if the Nuggets get the Spurs, they could lose in 5 games.
I mean, you look at the Eastern Conference, and the 6 through 8 seed is 38, 37, 37, 37, and 37 and 38.
Yeah.
And the Orlando Magic might make the playoffs. They're currently the 8 seed. That's where the the Eastern Conference is.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say the East Coast Conference, West Coast Conference, but the Eastern and Western Conference are completely different. At the beginning of the year, we thought they had, kind of worked their way to evening each other out, and that just isn't the case. The Western Conference is still, what everyone thought it was. So it'll be interesting. But the Thunder are on a ridiculous slide. Something else that happened in the NBA a couple days ago is the Utah Jazz, Devin Booker with the Suns was 59 points. The Jazz fouled to keep him from getting 60 points. Do you think that's a bad move by Quinn Snyder and the Jazz?
I don't know. I think it's silly. Like, even if he had scored 60, they still would have lost by 33. So, I guess if you don't want a guy to put up 60, you got to do that. But also, like, how do you not know going in that Devin Booker's the only guy?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, they let him score 60, and like you said, they lost by over 30. So it's not like they had to stop Devin Booker to win the game.
Yeah.
But you're looking at that score with the amount of time. He was trying to get buckets.
Yeah.
The Jazz, I think, wouldn't have done that if it was a close game, obviously. It would have been a different scenario.
Yeah.
But the Jazz are like, what are you doing? Just stop. You're not doing yourself. This isn't cool.
Yeah.
You're not earning it because it's a 30-point game. I liked what the Jazz did because ultimately I don't think anybody does what Devin Booker does in that situation.
Yeah. But can you blame Devin Booker for trying to get some kind of personal accomplishment or have some kind of fun? He's in Phoenix.
Well, that's true. I can't blame him. But people were trying to rag on Quinn Snyder and the Jazz.
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it either. But we're going to take a quick break, come back, and talk about the end of Big Baller Brand. Logan was really sad about that. He's wearing $220.
Still haven't gotten my shoes.
Well, the flops came in. You're
They
wearing
did,
them right
yeah.
now. $220 flops. But we're going to take a quick break, come back, and talk about what's going on with Lonzo Ball and the Ball family.
my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
Welcome back into One-on-One live on Sunlink Channel 112 and live from Studio 318. Lonzo Ball has cut ties with, I think, with Big Baller Brand, especially with Alan Foster. Go through the kind of the list of things. He covered up the Big Baller Brand tattoo on his arm.
Yeah.
Covered it up with dice. He actually made a terrible tattoo even worse, but the Big Baller Brand tattoo is covered up. He has scrubbed his social media of all Big Baller Brand content, as well as the other two Ball brothers have as well. The main, the co-owner, co-founder of Big Baller Brand, Alan Foster, by the way, a convicted felon that once got sentenced to 7 years in prison for defrauding 70 investors of $4 million. So maybe don't start a company with a guy who's been to prison for defrauding people. That's why you got an F from the Better Business Bureau. I know nothing about business, but Logan, if you're a convicted felon, the last thing I'm going to do is start a business with you.
Well, there goes that opportunity. Reed had a great idea where we could repurpose Big Baller Brand shoes and use them. But never mind, you obviously don't.
Well, the Ponzi scheme you ran in high school, it's a little negative for me. So, but seriously, I don't care if this business survives. I couldn't care less. LeVar Ball is obnoxious, and I think probably Christine Leahy, selling the shirts of "Stay in Your Lane" and treating her the way he did, she's probably laughing a little bit right now, and she rightfully should. But Lonzo's going to pay his taxes, and they find $1.5 million is missing. It turns out Alan Foster has taken it from Lonzo, so now Lonzo Ball has, separated himself. It looks like he's really cutting ties with LeVar Ball as well. He has put on, the fact that he's got, this company that he owns 51.1% in. And now Alan Foster owns 16%, his dad owns 16%, and his mom owns 16% as well. So how does he transition now going forward? Because the company's going to go under because 1/4 of what he owns is not there. I mean, the guy's stolen from him. Where do they go from now? Like, where do they go?
The police. But I think you and I both could have predicted when this started, Big Baller Brand was not going to be the next Nike or the next Under Armour or whatever. I didn't expect them to be in business with a convicted felon. But I did expect them to not know how to run a shoe company, because that's hard to do. Good on him for trying to, be an entrepreneur for himself and, make his money. But I don't know who thought this was going to work besides LeVar. And I'm really glad Lonzo is, said on Instagram, I'm my own man now, doing his own thing. And I think it's going to help him with his career. He won't have to deal, with all the outside noise his dad brings to him. It's obviously going to be better for his business ventures if he's not listening to LeVar. If he's not, every time LeVar brings someone in to start a business, better run at least 2 background checks. But I think this is good for Lonzo. I think it's long coming. I think it's hard to do though when you're that age, to say no to your dad, someone you've trusted for your entire life, and you have great value in what he says. And if he says, we can do this, we can start our own business, I know a guy, it's pretty hard at 19, 20 years old to say, no, I don't know about this.
Right.
So, I'm glad he's learned from this and he's making his own path.
Well, that was always the thing, and I think we talked about this, is Lonzo Ball wasn't unlikable.
Yeah.
His jump shot is not great.
Yeah.
But, he's a good player. He's the only one in this family that can play in the NBA, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But the major hang-up for him, his dad caused problems with just about everyone. He caused problems with LeBron James, now Lonzo's teammate. He said LeBron couldn't win a championship without Lonzo, which, by the way, had already happened 3 times. But they missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
But everything that went wrong in Lonzo's life was due to LeVar. Listen, I get it. People say, well, Lonzo probably wouldn't be in the NBA without LeVar. Listen, I honestly think he spoke him being a Laker into existence.
I agree.
I do think that happened. And he has done some good things. But he is obviously clueless on how to manage it because it has been nothing but a disaster since then. You look at the brothers. LaMelo is now at Spire Institute, or LiAngelo, one of the two.
Yeah.
The youngest one is at Spire Institute. They pull him out of high school. LiAngelo gets caught at UCLA for stealing Gucci sunglasses in China, gets kicked out of school. Now they travel overseas to, I believe, Lithuania. That doesn't pan out. This league that they created, I haven't heard about that in months. No one buys $500 shoes that have no reputation. That they don't even get shipped. This has been an utter disaster from the beginning. That's what happens when you start a company with a guy who defrauds people.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. You can't blame Lonzo for taking advice from his father, from trying to do the right thing. But I love the post, my own man. I was not a fan of him
putting his number in the rafters.
Photoshopping his number in the rafters next to Kobe. But he's his own man, so he can do whatever. I think he will be a Nike athlete by the end of the summer.
I think so.
I don't know if he'll get his own signature shoe or what, but he will be sponsored by Nike. I fully believe that because LeBron James seems to be on his side.
Yeah.
And if LeBron James tells him to join Nike, he's probably going to join Nike. Yeah. Listen to LeBron James with business, not LeVar.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd be surprised to see, I don't know, the way his career is shaped out. He obviously, everyone thought he could be like Jason Kidd. That has not even come close to happening yet. But I wonder if he'll be able to even get money from a shoe deal, not just his own shoe, but I don't know if it's just going to be a deal where Nike says, yeah, we'll give you the shoes, but don't expect anything extra. So
he's going to have to play his way into
it. Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
But he's not like sure, the assist, but you look at Jason Kidd.
Jason Kidd he could score.
But he was known for the assist, right?
Yes, yeah.
Steve Nash, the same way.
Yeah.
People want Russell Westbrook shoes. They want Michael Jordan shoes.
Yeah.
They love dunking. They love making the game-winning shots. They don't love the assist.
Yeah.
The fans love the assist, but people don't buy. Lonzo was never a guy whose shoes you were dying to have anyways.
Yeah.
He had a weird jump shot and an annoying father. That was what Lonzo was known for.
Yeah.
But now I've read more about this. The Lakers, he's had trouble with his ankles.
Yes.
The Lakers actually have a feeling that the shoes were the cause behind his ankle problem.
And I don't know. I put a little bit of stock in that because obviously Nike and Adidas and Under Armour and those companies put research into their shoes and they try to build the best support.
Tell that to Zion.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, Reed. They made him. The CEO of Nike personally made him a new pair of shoes. They're Zion proof. They're fine. But I don't know how much Big Baller Brand was, how much money they were putting into research and development. I'm sure they use the same materials as Nike, but I imagine the support structure wasn't as great as,
there's no way
a Nike
it was.
shoe. Yeah, so I don't know how possible it is. It could just be that he's injury prone. He could just have bad ankles. Well, we'll have to see. Well, I don't know how much stock I put in the shoes were the problem.
Obviously, we're sports media guys. We don't get the nice new building at the Spear School of Business. Yeah. We don't understand the numbers, at least I don't, so I can't pretend to know how this works. But I would think that Lonzo's probably going to lose a significant amount of money on this.
Yeah.
And he's already got over $1 million missing from Alan Foster that hasn't been accounted for.
Yeah.
This is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I hope that Lonzo progresses and can be, like he said on Instagram, his own man.
Yeah.
He can be, and that's the that's a recipe for success for him. Obviously, he's got to stay healthy and produce on the court, but ultimately he can no longer let LeVar Ball dictate, because the fact that he told LeVar about this multiple times, and just last week, Lonzo finally had enough and did something about it, and that's when LeVar's like, oh, I can't believe what I'm reading. Well, you were told to read it months ago.
Yeah.
And he never did. So I'm glad to see Lonzo making this move. It is unfortunate that this has happened, but Big Baller Brand is no more, and I think that's what a lot of people thought was ultimately going to happen a long, long time ago.
Yeah, it took a little longer than I thought. I thought after, the first wave of shoes didn't sell well, but I don't know. I don't know the numbers of how many they actually sold or anything like that, but I would have thought after the first run of things they would have shut their doors.
Well, here in a few months when it all goes under, I'm sure they'll have a clearance sale. Are you going to...
I might buy a couple pairs of shoes for, a little bit below their market value. Maybe I can get a pair for $300 on some kind of fire sale, so maybe we'll see.
Go up to the Colvin and tear your ankle up for $300.
Yeah, we'll run a little experiment. I'll buy a pair of shoes and see if I have a bunch of ankle injuries after I go to the Colvin.
Well, I mean, this is the weirdest story, but ultimately, I think this would not shock. I'm not shocked by this at all.
No,
I'm not shocked by it at all. So, sometimes we watch sports and talk radio or listen to sports talk radio, and you see things and they come up with stuff, and you think that's an interesting talking point. And a lot of times, I'll bring it up to you, and you always have a very quick answer, like no or yes. I mean, it's always you're very clear cut.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question that I heard from another sports show.
Yeah.
And I asked you yesterday, and you were very firm in your no. I can't say that I agree with you or disagree with you, but we've got a couple minutes here. Is Zion Williamson already a top 20 player in the NBA?
No.
No.
He would be one of the better players, but a top 20 is like an all-star. I don't think Zion Williamson's an all-star.
If the NBA redrafted every player, including this year's draft, would he be drafted in the top 20?
That depends, because that takes age into a factor. That takes
it's true. That's true. That's not a foolproof plan.
Yeah.
But would he be a top 20 draft pick if they redrafted? Everyone's up for a draft. We're redrafting the entire league plus this year's draft. Zion Williamson ultimately he's a top 5 pick.
I don't know if he's top 5.
Think about the people that would be drafting top 5 though. People who never get these right.
That's fair. But I mean, you got James Harden, Steph Curry, Giannis, Kevin Durant, LeBron still, Anthony Davis, Luka.
So you're already putting Luka in that.
That's what the age.
Okay, that's fair.
You get a lot more of Luka than you do of some of these other older guys, like, even Russell Westbrook, Karl Anthony Towns, Joel Embiid. It's hard for me to say he's top 20. He would be taken in the top 20.
Well, we're gonna take a break here in a second, but I agree with you. I don't think he is yet. But you were so quick with your no yesterday. I tried to get you on a gotcha, and you handled it well. So ultimately, there is a question I'm going to ask you on Friday, and I'm going to give you 48 hours now to prepare for it.
All right.
I'll ask you now, but don't tell me until Friday.
Okay.
Who is the Rookie of the Year?
I can tell you right now.
No, you have to wait till Friday. That's
a
debate that has been brewing on social media and among NBA fans. I think you and I have the same idea, but we're going to have to challenge it on Friday. So be sure to tune into that. We're going to take a quick break, come back, and talk about what's going on in the NFL, some rule changes. Robert Kraft is truly sorry, and in his mind is not guilty. We will be right back after this.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
CAS prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients. That translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
What the rule does is it puts OPI and DPI into our replay system with no change. So the system is exactly the same, but OPI and DPI are now reviewable. And that includes when a flag or no flag. We've never done that before.
Welcome back into One-on-One. The National Football League, Anissa behind the cameras calling it the No Fun League. You're calling it a drastic overreaction. They have changed the pass interference. Now it is, reviewable. It can be challenged by coaches both offensively and defensively. It stays at 2 challenges. You get the third, obviously, if you win your challenges. In the last 2 minutes, it is only reviewable by the officials, and it will be reviewed in New York. I love this rule change. I do not think it is an overreaction. Tell me why I'm wrong.
How many times are we going to see it throughout the season where someone throws the challenge flag, they think there's pass interference, and then the refs go to whatever, the blue tablet or wherever they use a surface still. I don't, that doesn't matter.
It'll be reviewed in New York.
Yeah. How many times are we going to have to spend, up to 5 minutes watching the same play in slow motion looking for the slightest bit of pass interference? You're getting the refs too involved. Obviously, they missed that call in the NFC Championship game, and it was atrocious. But I think this is way too much of an overreaction. I don't think it's gonna. I do. I think it's gonna affect the game and make it less fun to watch because we're gonna be spending more and more time in the booth looking at something.
Would you say that to a New Orleans Saints fan?
Yes, I would. A professor here, Joey Senna, teaches law. Great New Orleans Saints fan. I'll tell him before class today. This is a ridiculous rule. Obviously, they missed that call. But you cannot have this much of an overreaction.
I don't think it's an overreaction at all because this missed call affected sending somebody to the Super Bowl. What was missed was so out of line. If they said, hey, here's an unlimited amount of challenge flags, you throw them all day long, we want to get this right. No, we're not going to do that. But this is just now something that you can challenge. They still only have the 2 challenges. I don't think they're going to be throwing the challenge flag at a ridiculous non-pass interference or pass interference call on 2nd down in the 2nd quarter. It's not going to happen.
Okay, I don't know the rule very well. Can it only be reviewed if it's challenged?
It can be reviewed if the league calls in like they do now with on scoring plays or turnovers and say, hey, you missed it. You need to go back and look. We need to take a look at this. That can happen as well. But the league doesn't do that very often. But that can also happen. I don't think it's going to. First of all I want to do in life is watch football anyways. So making the games longer doesn't hurt my feelings.
But it's not game time. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's adding as much time as people think. And it's only 1 year. This is not official.
Yeah.
This is a 1-year trial basically on this. But it's ultimately for what happened in the NFC Championship game. The league cannot have that happen again. They do not want that to happen again. So when you have something that drastic happen, listen, if this happened in Week 7, no one cares.
Yeah.
But it happened in the biggest of moments. Humans make mistakes. They get the calls wrong. So now ultimately giving them the choice to correct that and for people to challenge that, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever because this can affect games.
I don't know. Barrett and I, we were having dinner whenever we saw that this rule had come out, and Barrett looked at me. He's like, you know what's going to happen? Odell Beckham Jr. is going to go up for a pass, and he's going to think he got fouled, and he's going to go crying to the ref. But do you think the players...
That already happens.
But now, are they going to be able to go and look at that and, basically look for... I'm afraid it's going to be turned into something where they go so hyper slow motion, everything is pass interference. You know what I mean?
I get that to a certain extent, but here's what I'll say to that. They throw a flag on everything almost now anyways. They're throwing ridiculous pass interference calls, so now it's going to help correct that. They'll try and get it right on that side of things, but it's only the 2 challenges. I don't think it's as crazy. I mean, it's not going to happen on every play. And just like the rule changes last year we saw with the, roughing the passer, the first 4 weeks were miserable in the National Football League.
Yeah.
What happened in week 5? There was a call from Roger Goodell that said, quit screwing up the games. I get we made a rule, but you have got to quit doing that. So the first few weeks may be rough, but the league's not going to let it run rampant. And just, the league is not going to let that happen. They will get it right. It may take a few weeks, but just like people are calling, you said it was an overreaction. I think you're having an overreaction to what this rule could do. I don't think it's significant in what it can change in the outcome of games, which is good. They will be getting it right. But I don't think it's going to change the 4 quarters of football in the National Football League.
Let me ask you that. Do you think this sets a precedent where everything should just become challengeable?
No. Well, I mean, what else can you really challenge on this? I mean, you can already challenge the spot, a score, a turnover. Now you can...
Should every penalty be challengeable and reviewable?
Well, when they have a missed face mask like they did in the NFC Championship game, maybe if that has an outcome like they do in that, maybe. But I don't think they'll go more than this. I don't think you can.
That's part of my thing too, like allowing that. I think it opens the door for stuff like that.
That's a decent point. I'll give you credit on that one. But I just don't think. I think maybe the first few weeks you might sit in that chair and go, "See, I told you so," and I'm going to say, just give it some time. But I think ultimately this was the right move by the National Football League.
We'll have to see. I hope you're right.
I hope
I'm all about
right
making
too,
sports better.
Because I don't want the game to change that much, but I want it to be right. I want them to get the results right, get the penalties right. The Chiefs proposed at these owner meetings, obviously when this rule was passed yesterday.
You said Chiefs and you said owners meeting, but I was thinking of the coaches getting together and Andy Reid. Andy Reid is the best.
We need Hawaiian. He's the only one wearing shorts. He's got a Hawaiian shirt on. Turns out he's got a Bitmoji that has a stack of pancakes next to him. It turns out he sulked him and Matt Nagy, his former assistant, who obviously lost in a terrible way, is now the head coach of the Bears.
Yeah.
They cheeseburgers together to get over the playoff losses. Andy Reid just does life right. Everyone wants to be Andy Reid. So the Chiefs proposed, obviously, a reaction that they had from what was dealt to them in the playoffs. They want to change the overtime rules. They want both teams to get an opportunity to have possession in overtime only in the playoffs, not in regular season. Keep the rules the same in the regular season, but change in the postseason. I love that rule, mainly because I saw what happened to my Kansas City Chiefs. But that's the only fair thing, I think, that you can do.
I mean, I'd even be fine with it. I can see why the rule is the way it is for the regular season, but I'd be fine with that in the regular season as well. I like giving both teams an opportunity. I feel like that's more fair.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to. And to send somebody to the Super Bowl, they both deserve a chance to get the football. So that rule was tabled. So it will be some things will be changed. The Chiefs will propose another one, I believe, in late May, and maybe it'll be passed in. The Broncos proposed changing the onside kick to a 4th and 15 from your own 25 to keep possession. That was denied.
Thank goodness.
You don't like that rule. I love that rule.
I don't like that rule.
Why?
I don't know.
Do you think it's easier to complete a 4th and 15 from your own 25 or to get an onside kick? I think
it's easier to complete a 4th and 15.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, you're talking about a receiving or the kicking team getting the ball back on a
right.
Yeah. I think it's way easier to make a 4th and 15.
I agree. I like the rule, but obviously it was denied. The owners did not like it as well. They also passed the fact that all blindside blocks are now illegal, all of them.
I like that.
Probably a good rule. And now John Gruden apparently cried for 3 days
Yeah, he
when
was
he
broken
traded
up.
Khalil Mack, but said it's ultimately the best thing because they get LaMarcus Joyner and Antonio Brown. They got all these picks, freed up this cash, but he cried for 3 days after trading Khalil Mack. Do you believe that?
Not even close. He seemed pretty happy when he traded Khalil Mack, in all honesty. You know, he got a guy out of there that he thought didn't want to be there. And didn't he say Khalil Mack, if he wanted to be here, he'd be here or something like that?
Yeah.
So I don't think John Gruden was too broken up about. Maybe he was upset that everyone was talking about what an idiot he was for trading away the best defensive player in the game, but yeah, I don't think he cried for 3 days.
Well, I think he cried because the first $10 million check bounced from the Raiders, but the second one went through. And the fact that he took a job in Oakland, maybe. I don't believe that he legitimately cried for 3 days because when you make it,
I don't think he cried once.
Hot take, John Gruden has never cried a day in his life. He does not strike me
He's
as a
unable
person.
to cry.
From infancy to now, John Gruden has never shed a tear.
I could see that. I buy that 100%.
I mean, he probably cried when they changed some of these rules because he's such a football guy. But yeah, I don't believe that he cried. But he seems to be happy now. Gets Antonio Brown, LaMarcus Joyner, and obviously has a ton of picks coming up in this draft, including the 4th overall pick.
Maybe the first time John Gruden ever cried was the first time he saw Spider 2Y Banana.
The purest football play in the entire sport. Robert Kraft, just transitioning because a lot of stuff happened. He pleaded not guilty, and he was asking for a jury trial in South Florida, where people love the Patriots.
It's a jury of his peers, I bet. But why would he ask for a jury trial? Reed, aren't they saying they have video evidence?
Yeah.
Why would you ever challenge video evidence?
That's what I'm wondering. Why in the world does he seems to be pressing his luck here?
Yeah. He had an out. He could have gotten off basically scot-free. All he had to do was say he would have been found guilty, which it's going to happen anyway. He's going to be found guilty for real, Reed.
Well, obviously we talked about the business aspect of things. I'm not a businessman and I'm not a lawyer, but it seems to be people are saying he's still probably not going to be reaching a jury trial. But why is he pressing his luck? I do not understand. He was supposed to be in court on Thursday. That is now canceled. He's the 77-year-old. Said he was truly sorry. He could face 100 years of community service.
Why would he be sorry if he's not guilty?
It's pretty self-incriminating when he said, "I am truly sorry." I'll read you his quote here. "I know I have hurt and disappointed my family, my close friends, my coworkers, our fans, and many others who rightfully hold me to a higher standard." Yes, absolutely. No one saw this happening. No one. But he seems to be pressing his luck a little bit on this. I know I asked you when this first, happened, but the league hasn't announced anything yet. They're probably going to let the legal process play out. Roger Goodell said, after all, we get all the facts, we'll be fair and smart about it. What do you think the punishment will be?
I think it still has to be, he has to be not allowed near any team activity whatsoever. Games, practices, can't be at the training facility, can't be at the office of the team. I think that has to be at least 4, 5, somewhere in that 4, 5, 6 games area. Because otherwise he's not going to learn. You can fine him for whatever, but he's Robert Kraft. He has plenty of money.
I think you have to suspend him for a full calendar year. Make him watch the games from his luxury mansion, not his luxury suite at Gillette Stadium. Well, we're going to take a quick break.
What a hard life he lives.
Yeah, it is difficult. We're going to take a quick break, come back and talk about everything going on with Conor McGregor, his maybe fake announcement of retirement, and everything that's going on with his investigation over in Ireland. And we're going to do Thursday pick'em for the NCAA tournament. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back into one-on-one. We'll do Thursday pick'em here in a second, but we'll kick
Is that
off.
a block or charge, Reed? We're hearing charge from the audio booth.
Heard it from Colicchio. Charge. Listen, we'll start with Conor McGregor in the UFC MMA. He announced his retirement on Twitter. And
His retirement.
his spokesperson said he's not retiring, but he said he's retiring. This is his tweet. Hey, guys, quick announcement. I've decided to retire. Decided to retire from the sport formerly known as mixed martial art today, in quotation. I wish all my colleagues well going forward in competition. I now join my former partners on this venture already in retirement. Proper pina coladas on me, fellas. And then later in the day, it is apparent that he is under investigation for sexual assault that happened in Dublin, Ireland. He has not won since 2016. Obviously, his last fight ended in controversy with Khabib in that. We all know how that ended.
Yeah.
Do you believe that this is a real retirement? Because 2 days ago, he was on Jimmy Fallon talking about how they're negotiating a deal to fight in July. I know your favorite guy, Dana White, is saying he believes it. He's got this whiskey business, and before I get your answer, I might as well say, Conor McGregor had never retired until Barrett saw him in real life. Barrett saw him at the St. Patty's Day parade, and now all of a sudden he wants to retire.
That's an interesting wrinkle. I did not know that.
Who do we pin the blame on here? Maybe Barrett.
I'm
I don't
gonna stick
know.
with Dana White. I'm always gonna blame Dana White. I don't think this is a real retirement. I feel, like you said, he was talking about getting a new deal. I feel like Conor didn't like some of the stuff in that new deal, so he's like, you know what? I'm out.
Yeah.
You're not gonna
I agree with
pay
you.
me so much money that it's ridiculous, and you possibly can't make your investment back. Too bad. I'm out.
I agree with you. I still think he could fight in July.
Yeah.
I mean, he was all over social media. He was in Chicago and Boston talking to Irish fans. People probably have Irish descent at of St. Patrick's Day, and he's talking about how he didn't respect Khabib. He didn't train well enough. He wasn't ready. Now he's ready. Now he's ready to fight. He's in shape to fight. And then all of a sudden this retirement, and then the investigation, which could be very concerning for the UFC, could be very concerning for him and his image if he is found guilty. I mean, he's had now 3 charges in just over a year. That is troubling if you're Conor McGregor. But I don't buy the retirement one bit.
No, I don't either. Like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if he fights in July. That's very, very possible. Yeah. Conor has a lot of money, but you said this yesterday. The way he likes to live, he is not set up for retirement right now. His whiskey business kind of depends on him being popular. I don't know. I think Jason's had some of Conor McGregor's whiskey, but I don't know how good it is. I haven't bought any. I probably won't ever buy any. So I don't know how well that's going to set him up for the future. I still feel he'll need money at some point, and that's ultimately when I think he's going to come out of retirement, if it's not before July.
Hey, maybe if you wait a year, you could get Big Baller brand shoes to get ZO2s and a bottle of whiskey for.
Yeah.
You probably have a coupon for it, depending on how things go in the next year. But I don't believe this is a real retirement whatsoever.
No, and like you said, if you're Dana White, if you're the UFC, if you're anyone, this sexual assault allegation that's up.
It's concerning.
It's very concerning because you look at his past behavior. What happened, obviously, at the end of the Khabib fight when he attacked the bus. He's made a lot of questionable character decisions lately. So you kind of got to worry about him as a person, especially if this allegation turns out to be true. It's not a good look for him going forward. So, he's walking on thin ice. It'll be interesting to see what he does in the next couple of months.
I absolutely agree with you. He needs to clean up the character act a little bit here, no matter what he decides to do, whether it's business or the UFC. He's got to not be getting charged and getting arrested and investigated. He needs to clean up his personal life. So we'll move to the NCAA tournament that gets back into action.
Thank goodness.
Tomorrow night.
How are we in March Madness and I've gone 4 days without watching any basketball?
Well, you have
it's
a weekend.
Not right.
You have a weekend
This
packed
is America.
full. This is America, and we are going to have the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 this weekend. When we come back on Monday, we'll have our Final Four.
That's crazy.
So, ultimately, we will go through tomorrow's games. Obviously, on Friday, we will pick Friday's games.
Okay.
But we'll start here. Number 1, Virginia versus number 12, Oregon. Oregon wasn't going to make the NIT if they didn't win their conference championship.
Yeah.
They go win the Pac-12 tournament. They upset Wisconsin to 12/5, 72-54. Luckily, UC Irvine beat Kansas State by 6. And so number 12, Oregon beats number 13, UC Irvine, by 19. Now they're matched up with Virginia, who beat the Sooners and beat Gardner-Webb. Who's taking this game tomorrow night?
I'm going to say Virginia. I almost said Oregon just because they seem to be the Cinderella of this tournament, which it's hilarious that Oregon's a Cinderella.
Right.
But I think, they've played really well in the tournament somehow. They've played who's in front of them, I guess, and they've won those games. But it's weird. It's such a weird tournament from the Pac-12 standpoint. The best team in the Pac-12, the only team that wasn't awful, Washington, loses in the first round. And then Oregon is the team, somehow wins the Pac-12 tournament and then gets an automatic bid. Like you said, they probably weren't going to make the NIT. They've been on a hot streak. I didn't realize this. They had won their last 7 or 8 games, I think, or maybe even 9 games to end the regular season. And then they obviously win the Pac-12 tournament. And now they've won their first 2 games in the tournament. Virginia might be in trouble. That sounds really weird to say, but Virginia could be in trouble.
Well, you look at last year, UMBC shooting.
Yeah.
Seriously, shooting hurts Virginia because they are better offensively this year than they were last year. But they have had problems when they get a shooter. Duke's not even that good at shooting, but has been able to beat Virginia 3 times. So this could be concerning if you're Virginia, but I think Oregon's little, streak of luck is going to come to an end because they haven't faced a team defensively like Virginia yet. I think Virginia wins this game.
What's crazy also about Oregon, they don't have Bol. They don't have their best player.
Right.
And they've been able to do this. Yeah. Crazy run.
You're taking Virginia?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will take Virginia as well. Now we have number 3 Purdue versus number 2 Tennessee. Tennessee had a scare up 25 points over Iowa.
Yeah.
Then it gets forced into overtime. Tied largest comeback in NCAA history. They don't get to pull off the upset, but they do win in overtime 83-77. It's only 7-point win over 15 Colgate as well.
Yeah.
Purdue dominates Old Dominion. Not really surprised there. Then they dominate the defending national champions Villanova 87-61. This is a 3-2 matchup. Who's going to the Elite Eight?
I'm taking Tennessee. I think that Iowa game snapped them into shape. I think they realized, oh my gosh, obviously, like you said, they barely won the first game, then almost lose to Iowa. I think that set something off in their head, like we gotta come to play. We gotta play our kind of basketball, because they had been on a slide to end the year. Mm-hmm. They're at the beginning of the year in December and January. People thought they were the best team, not Duke, and then suddenly they fell off. So I think that hopefully that sparks something that can make it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, they've got a lot of experience, got a lot of seniors. Rick Barnes, you would think they would have got into shape after only beating Colgate by 7, but the big scare, and they did. I mean, they were up 25 over Iowa. They just got complacent in a game and shouldn't have. But now they're in the Sweet 16. I think they beat Purdue. I don't think Purdue has the experience. They have a lot of experience by college basketball standards, but not as much as Tennessee. I think Rick Barnes is a better coach than Chris Painter. I think the Volunteers move on to the Elite Eight. Number 3, Texas Tech, the only remaining team in the Big 12 that's still in the tournament. Number 2, Michigan. The Fighting, not Fighting Illini, that is Illinois. But the Wolverines beat Montana 74-55, get a win over Florida 64-49. Texas Tech in the BOK Center beats Northern Kentucky 72-57 and gets a 20-point win over number 6 and a very good Buffalo team. So now we have a 2-3 matchup in this one as well. I'm taking Texas Tech.
I'm also taking Texas Tech. And it might be, maybe we have a little bit of a Big 12 bias, but Jarrett Culver and Texas Tech, they are awesome. Texas Tech has really turned their program around these past couple of years. They make it to the Elite Eight last year? Is that right?
They made it to the Sweet 16 last year.
So, yeah, they made a good run last year. I think they're going to build on that and upset Michigan.
Michigan, for me, as a team that's lost to Michigan State 3 times, when it's needed to win, they're playing a better team. They haven't been able to overcome those games. Yeah. I don't think they can against the Red Raiders. I think Texas Tech improves in this one as well.
I think Texas Tech is also just too good defensively.
I would agree with you. So now we go number 1 versus number 4, a really low seed by this year's standards. Florida State really quickly here, taking on Gonzaga. Who wins?
Give me the Zags.
I'm taking Florida State. They have the length and defensively. Leonard Hamilton will not only will they advance to the Elite Eight, they will advance to the Final Four. I believe in this Florida State team. I think they not only beat Gonzaga, I think they dominate Gonzaga, and that Gonzaga will struggle mightily offensively like they did in that West Coast Conference Championship game against St. Mary's. Give me the Seminoles. I'm taking Florida State big time.
Okay.
And then they will beat Texas Tech to advance to the Final Four.
Okay.
So we're going to take a 47-hour break. We will see you on Friday. Rookie of the Year debate that's going to be one for the century. I'm excited about that. Thank you so much for watching One-on-One. We will see you Friday.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
CAS prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.